Okay, DW Gaming here with the developer update for May 2024. I've seen a couple other videos about this update. It looks really bad. I am totally convinced now that these developers have no idea what they're doing. We need a new development team or something, some kind of cleaning house over at behavior. It's not going to happen, but it would be nice. Most of these changes are bad. This is extremely disappointing, and I'm glad I'm only playing this game sporadically. I have stopped playing it in a regular manner. I am not taking it seriously at all. And these updates have convinced me that it's not worth playing on a serious level anymore. Maybe once in a while, but that's it. I also don't know why they have to constantly change things in this game. It just seems like they're making changes for the sake of making those changes. There's no really point to these changes. I would just wish they can release new content, but they would give these these horrible changes they keep implementing a rest. They don't need to constantly shake up the meta. It's really ridiculous. The way they change things makes the game worse and worse every time. Honestly, it's very aggravating when I see that they come out with another update, because I know they're going to screw things up even more. Let's go through this, though. So they changed Chucky. So they decreased his hidey ho cooldown to 12 seconds. It was 18. Chucky can only scamper while performing a slice and dice attack, and decreases the time it takes to scamper to 1.3 seconds. So this is a slight buff, but this is definitely a nerf overall. The whole point, he's a 110 killer. Why are you nerfing him? If anything, they should make him a 115 killer and implement these changes. There's no reason for him to be a 110 killer anymore. I don't play him for the mere fact that he's 110 and he's a chase-oriented killer. It would be like Wesker or Blight being 110. Now, Blight, you could kind of justify saying maybe he does need to go down to 110 because Blight's still incredibly strong. But, Chucky is not Blight. This is ridiculous. So, even if he's in hidey-ho mode, he can't scamper under a pallet unless he initiates his slice and dice attack. So that's going to... that's just a straight up nerf. There's no reason for this. One of the things he had going for him was to get people at pallets. Now it's going to be more difficult to do that. He can't traverse the map in a meaningful way. So why are you nerfing his 1v1? You should at least buff his 4v1 and then nerf his 1v1 if you want to go that way. This makes no sense. Just put him at 115 with these stupid changes. There's no reason for him to be 110. It's so dumb. He's a chase-oriented killer. He's not Hag. He's not Huntress or Deathslinger, where you can snipe survivors from across the map or at very long distances. He's not Spirit, where he can catch up to them almost instantly. His slice and dice isn't... it doesn't justify him being 110. It's not that great of a power. I just don't understand why he's if Wesker's a 115 killer with his virulent bound, then Chucky should be a 115 killer as well. Doesn't make any sense. So this is bad. I'm not reading what they're saying because they're stupid. They have no idea what they're talking about. Most of this whatever. I've just gotten so disgusted with these guys. The Cannibal. Did anyone ask for Bubba buffs? Anyone said, hey, Bubba's too weak, we need to give him some buffs? Yeah, they say minor update. There's no minor update. Why is Bubba getting buffs? I mean, he doesn't have map pressure. Fine. His 1v1 is really good, though, and they're buffing it for some reason? I mean, why? This is a straight-up buff. Increased chainsaw sweep duration, 2.5 seconds per token, was 2 seconds. Increased chainsaw sweep movement speed to 5.35 millimeters per second was 5.29. Decreased collision detection size to help navigate tight spaces. Decreased base tantrum time to 3 seconds was 5 seconds. So it looks like they're giving him the chili, at least one of the chili add-ons at base. Why? I mean, yeah, most of his best add-ons were the chili ones, but was anyone screaming for a cannibal buff? Was anyone saying, hey, this guy is so weak? No. I mean, I don't understand this. Why are you... There's so many other killers you could be buffing. Bubba is like one of the last killers you need to look at. Trapper is still in a very bad spot. Singularity, his power is basically non-existent because of all the damn EMPs all over the map. There's just so many other killers you could concentrate on rather than this guy. He doesn't need any buffs. He's fine. Freddy is in need of buffs. Cannibal? Was he in a bad state? Really? I don't understand this. I don't know what these developers are on, because I mean, he's not the strongest, but his 1v1's great. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't understand these developers. Deathslinger. Deathslinger got buffs. Why? He doesn't need buffs. I mean, if anything, just buff it. Like I said, buff him to 115. See what happens. See how he does. I would dare say buff all killers to 115 movement speed. Look at the stats, and not kill rates, but look at like win rates. See how they do. There's no reason for these kind of just incomprehensible buffs, like decreased stun time when survivors break free to 2.7 seconds. Why are you increasing his real speed, decreasing his stun time, and increased movement speed while reloading? I mean, why? Does he need this? I don't think so. His 1v1's pretty good. Like with Bubba. You don't need to adjust his 1v1. Both of these killers, the 4v1 is pretty terrible. They can't get around the map in a quick manner. Bubba at least is 115. Deathslinger's even worse. So I don't understand what the mindset here is. They keep focusing. It was like with the Huntress changes. They keep focusing on the 1v1 when these killers are already strong in the 1v1, but they're weak in the 4v1. So I think until they get that mindset where they need help in the 4v1, these changes are just not going to make any sense. Wesker, yeah, they nerfed him for some reason. Oh, his 4v1's too strong. That's the game, okay? The game is a 4v1. It's not a 1v1. So, decrease the hindered penalty from infection to 4% was 8%. Why? Why did you have to do this? Survivors aren't going to stay infected, Okay, they have more than enough spray cans on the map. This change wasn't necessary. As soon as they are out of the out of chase, they're going to try and find a can, which is relatively easy. And in chase, the infection rate is not high enough to warrant this nerf. You're not going... Let's say you hit a survivor with Virulent Bound and you engage in chase. You're going to down that survivor before they are fully infected. There is no reason to nerf his infection rate, the hindered penalty. There's no reason, because they're not going to get hindered because they're not going to be fully infected. It takes too long. If you're chasing a survivor to the point where they are fully infected as Wesker, you're going to lose the game. It just takes way too long. There was no need for this. Infection is now reduced to 1% when hooked. So that's another nerf. It's another nerf. It was reduced by half. Now it's reduced to 1%. So it's barely... Yeah, they're barely infected when they get unhooked. Why? I would just love to ask these guys why. Let's see what they say. On top of Virulent Bound being a strong chase power to begin with, it's only strong if you're good with the killer. Wesker is one of these killers like Huntress and Billy, where it takes a good amount of skill to actually use his power effectively. They seem hell-bent on removing skill in this game, and these nerfs now just prove that. So there's... I mean... let's keep going, these guys. Infected survivors also suffered from a severe movement penalty. Only when they were fully infected, which took forever. We have reduced his effective force %, still significant but not a death sentence. 8% was not a death sentence. What's Clown's hindered penalty when he hits you with a bottle? Was it like 15%? I mean, by this logic, they should nerf Clown. We've also further reduced survivors of infection when hooked to make tunneling, chasing them as soon as they are unhooked less of an obvious choice. You want to reduce tunneling? Give survivors another objective so gens don't fly. Make the game about hooks instead of kills. That's how you reduce tunneling. When killer players feel like they are able to go for chases on different survivors because the game doesn't go like, you know, it doesn't last like 3 or 4 minutes, then yeah, that's how to reduce tunneling. You guys have everything ass backwards here. You're trying to reduce tunneling by nerfing killers once again. You don't understand the underlying problem with tunneling, in that it's a problem if you have the killer objectives stay the same. It's a problem if the survivors can just rush through gens, but they don't want to, I don't know, maybe they're just too incompetent to deal with the underlying cause of tunneling. I don't know. And they definitely can't balance the MMR around it because it's too difficult for them, apparently. They just made it easy for themselves by making the goals escapes and kills. Too difficult to rework the emblem system. Yeah, this is a horrible change. Wesker did not need a nerf. The survivors already have anti-tunneling things built into their base kit, okay? They don't need another nerf on another killer to try to prevent tunneling. They have this base borrowed time crap that still doesn't deactivate at endgame for some reason. I have no idea why. And they have all these different perks like off the record, decisive strike. They don't need to nerf killers because they want to make tunneling less appealing. Survivors already have anti-tunnel, either things at base kit or perks they could use. I mean, this is so stupid. And the nerf to the hindered, I mean, you might as well nerf Clown's bottles, because his bottles, I think, are like 15%. I mean, you could argue that's a death sentence right there. It's so stupid. So dumb. Blight. Compound 33 now increases rush rate and turn rate and duration by 11%, was 33. Iridescent Blight Tag now increases rush speed by 10%, was 20. So they nerfed the iridescent add-ons. Can these guys do anything right? I mean, this is like the third or fourth time the iridescent add-ons have been reworked. I mean, why? The Blight's ultra rare add-ons have proven to be too strong, so we've toned down both of them down to, oh yes, I'm sure they were just too strong. I mean, Blight's a strong killer, but these are iridescent add-ons. You think they should be strong, right? If you want to tone things down, make it so the iridescent add-ons appear less frequently in the blood web. That's all you need to do. Toolboxes. Increase toolbox sabotage speed. What? Why? Increase toolbox sabotage speed across most variants. Why are you increasing sabotage speed? Alex's toolbox is already broken. Increase effects of sabotage related add-ons? Grip wrench, cutting wire, hacksaw? Why? Why are you doing this? They don't need sabotage speed increases on toolboxes. All they need is Alex's toolbox and the hacksaw and the cutting wire, and you can't stop it, even if you hit the survivor trying to do it. You just can't stop it. Even, I think the only way you could stop it is if you have max stacks of save the best for last, and even then, I don't think you can stop it. This is stupid. This is going to be a major problem now. There's no reason to increase sabotage speed on any toolboxes. Alex's toolbox is already broken. If anything, they need to nerf that toolbox. This is ridiculous. I mean, I guess they want to encourage slugging because that's what killers are going to do. I thought they were trying to get away from that. Yeah. I'm quickly becoming speechless here. Deadlock. Decreased block duration to 25 seconds. Was there? So they took 5 seconds off. Why? Didn't need it. Deadlock is quite effective while being rather easy to activate. We have slightly reduced the duration of the generator blocker to bring in line with other options. So you nerfed, in other words, we nerfed it for no reason. You know, it needs to be easy to activate because if you're going against survivors who know what they need to do, generators are going to fly. So it at least gives you a little bit of a slowdown, a little bit of a chance to actually play the game as killer rather than just watch as all the generators get finished. Bad. This is bad as well. Background player. Decreased movement speed bonus to 150%. Still too high. Decreased exhausted duration to 20 seconds was 40. So they've made it so you're exhausted for a smaller amount of time, but then they nerfed the speed bonus, which honestly 150 is still too high. This is they say medium update. No, it's not. It's a very minor update. Survivors with background player are still going to be a menace. There's no need for these changes. They need to nerf it to, I say 100%. It would require the survivor to get in a more favorable position. It actually would require some skill. It still doesn't require any skill at 150. I mean, come on. That's stupid. And what does it last? Like 5 seconds? It's really dumb. So this got very minor changes. I don't know what they're talking about. Medium update. Just goes to show you how clueless they are. Grim Embrace. Decreased block duration to 10 seconds was 12. They took a couple seconds off it. Yeah, it's still not great. When you get all 4 survivors hooked, then it actually makes it worthwhile running it. But I think this should be base for killers. It shouldn't be a perk. Every time you hook a new survivor, it would be an incentive to not tunnel. Because every time you would hook a new survivor, increase the block duration. So killers are rewarded for going for different survivors. And make it base kit. Because, these developers still don't get it. They don't understand why a perk like this, it's a good idea, but then they nerf it to where it's pretty much pointless. It wasn't that great to begin with, but they don't understand like how to make this game healthier. If you want killers not to tunnel, then give them a reward for hooking different survivors. The developers are of the mindset that like it's the carrot and the stick thing. They're always using the stick. They're never using the carrot for killers. Decisive Strike. Reduce stun duration to 4 seconds. Still too long. Was 5 seconds. I think instead of reducing the stun duration, I would have changed it so if the killer hooks a different survivor from the one that they just hooked, this perk deactivates. That would make it a true anti-tunneling perk. Because if you as a killer go back to the hook, ignore the person who is just unhooked and go for the person who unhooked that survivor and then hook them, having this deactivate upon that would make it truly an anti-tunnel perk. That's how I would change it. None of this survivors being able to use it for offensive purposes. But if you're going to reduce the stun duration, just put it back at 3. And come on. Pop Goes the Weasel. So they gutted Pop Goes the Weasel. Why? This perk's already been nerfed. It used to be like 25% of total regression. Then they changed it to, I think it was 25% of current regression. Then they buffed it slightly, making it 30% of current regression. Now they've nerfed it into the ground to where they make it 20% of current regression, which is really, really stupid. Pop Goes the Weasel is proven to be very strong. Really? And the conditions activating are very difficult. So killers shouldn't be rewarded for hooking survivors, is essentially what you're saying. Do these guys even play killer? The conditions to activate it aren't very difficult. It can be extremely difficult to hook a survivor sometimes. If that survivor has favorable tiles, a very imbalanced map, and are halfway decent at looping the killer. These guys do not play killer at a high level. It's very evident they don't with wording like this. So, yeah, Pop Goes the Weasel is pretty much dead. 20% of current regression is... It's an unnecessary nerf. This is just going to make the weaker killers weaker. It won't really affect the stronger killers all that much. But if you want to play a weaker killer, you can forget about using this perk. It'll take them some time to get to that gen that they want to pop anyway, I'm sure. because a lot of the weaker killers do not have good map traversal abilities. So all this does is punish players who want to play weaker killers. This wording is disgusting. These developers have no clue what they're talking about. They really need a shake-up over their behavior. I know it's not going to happen, but these guys are totally out of touch. The conditions activating aren't very difficult. That's complete bullshit. I'm so sick and tired of this condescending attitude from the developers. Buckle up. Buckle up no longer provides endurance. Okay, that's good. So they can't use that broken combination for the people. Survivors healed from the dying state break into a sprint at 150% movement speed for 5 seconds. Why doesn't it cause exhaustion? It's exhaustion perk now. It should cause exhaustion. 150% movement speed? That's ridiculous. I mean, I get it. They want to get survivors away who just got picked up, but it should at least cause exhaustion. It makes no sense that it doesn't cause exhaustion. It's an exhaustion perk. Buckle up could be problematic when paired with for the people. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, whatever. They're nerfing Scourge Hook as well. So basically, all significant generator regression perks are being nerfed. Once again. Decrease regression effect to 20% was 25. You do not need to nerf this perk. Sometimes you can't even get it depending on the map RNG. Pain Resonance finds itself in almost 40% of all loadouts. Yeah, maybe ask yourselves why instead of just blindly nerfing it. Say, why are killer players using this perk regularly? And it encourages hooking different survivors, too. It's like, we want to make this perk less of a clear choice for all builds, but keep it rewarding for killers who choose to chase multiple survivors. But it's not. You didn't keep it rewarding. You nerfed it. It received a 5% nerf. How is that keeping it rewarding for killers who want to chase multiple survivors? That doesn't make any sense. You've already nerfed it to where it can only activate 4 times, and now you're nerfing its regression amount. So, yeah, speechless. Yeah. Invocation weaving spiders. Decrease invocation time to 60 seconds. What's 120? Why are you doing this? You halved it. Invocation progress now regress at a rate of 1 charge per second. Was 20 charges per second. So they can basically go back to it at any time and it'll still be mostly progressed for them. And you halved the time it takes. No. A big NO on this because you've already nerfed significantly the most used gen regression perks, and now you are buffing a gen progression perk. You guys really do not get this, do you? Why are killers using these gen regression perks so much? And you wonder, you say, it finds itself in 40% of all loadouts. Let's buff invocation weaving spiders so it can find itself in almost 60% of all loadouts. I mean, what is this? You guys don't get it. The devs just don't get it. Decimated Borgo reworked the lighting of the Shatter Square map. The red tinted lighting could make it difficult to see scratch marks or as pools of blood. We have completely changed the lighting on this map to address these concerns. Good. this should have been released like this in the first place. It shouldn't have been. Whoever thought it would be a good idea to make the map red should be fired, because that's as they say, it's difficult to see any kind of clues as to what would give the killer the ability to follow players, especially for colorblind players. I don't know whose idea it was to make the map red. Horrible idea. Item previews, rework pop-ups for items found within a trial. So it gives a description. So more hand-holding for survivors. If you don't know what an EMP does against the singularity, then maybe you shouldn't be playing the game. Maybe you should, I don't know, play a simpler game. I mean, come on. The existing pop-ups for items were minimal, showing only the item's icon remained charges. This relied on players knowing all the details of each item. Yeah, so that's the point in most video games. You're expected to bring with you some game sense. And with a growing number of killer-specific items, that's getting harder to do. Right. When you approach an item, you'll now see a brief description of what the item does. So even more hand-holding, huh, guys? Can't rely on player intelligence at all. And that looks like it's it. That is... Wow. These are some really bad changes. But as I said, I'm glad I'm only playing this game sporadically. It's not a game I am playing on a regular basis anymore. So good job, devs. You've lost another killer main who played your game regularly and spent money on cosmetics. I might not even spend money on cosmetics now. I mean, it's just... I'm so disgusted with these guys. So, that's it. Look forward to those changes coming soon.